Howdy readers, I'm Jason. This is Chapter and Verse, and this is black coffee with half and half in it, which just makes me incredibly happy. And I can drink it anytime and it won't keep me awake because I'm just magic that way. So I come to you this evening with the mid-year check-in tag, okay? And now this tag was co-created by Harriet Rosie and Dane from Dane Reads. So I will link to those original videos in the description below. I was tagged to do this by my friend Jasmine from Jasmine's Reads. And when I saw her do this tag, and it was my introduction to the tag. I hadn't seen anybody else do it. I was watching it and I was really pleased with the questions and was secretly hoping that she tagged me at the end, and she did. Because there's another tag, a mid-year tag that's been going around called the Freak Out tag. And apparently it's a tradition on Booktubers or something like this. And because it's a tradition, I had been wanting to do this mid-year Freak Out tag. But that seemed much more than this one to be a tag that was kind of designed for someone who reads a ton. And while I read a lot, I mean, I read every day, I'm such a slow reader and I have so many other kind of interests and hobbies that I don't get a lot of books finished each year. And this tag, the mid-year check-in tag, seems more conducive to a reader like me. Question 1. How many books have you read so far this year? I've read a dozen books this year. Question 2. What's your favorite book so far this year? And that is such an easy question. My favorite book so far this year, I don't own it yet. This is the library copy that I read, and I went and checked it out again, specifically for this tag. And this is Under the Skin by Michelle Faber. I can't remember the last time I read something that so kind of pulled the rug out from under my expectations. And I'm not talking about the expectations I brought to the book, but I was just really, really struck by how kind of insidious this book felt. From page 1, it is distinctly creepy, and but it's also really lovely, and it's also just incredibly not sad so much as there's something really mournful about it. Now, I don't want to spoil anything for you guys reading this, but I really loved how it gave us a world that we think we know, right? I mean, the main character, if memory serves, the main character is driving around a Toyota Corolla. I drive a Toyota Corolla. So this is a book in which you can really recognize yourself in this landscape. You feel like you could be bumping into this character. The main character's name is Isserly. And you feel like you could be bumping into her at a supermarket or a convenience store really easily. You might see her and say, "Oh, that's a strange looking girl," or that's a really unusually beautiful girl. But it could never occur to you what else was going on with her, and that what else is going on with her is so strange and so chilling, and so without precedent. I mean, the book really, maybe there's some kind of other version of it out there, right, that Michelle Faber is kind of jumping off of, is standing on the shoulders of, and kind of seeing how much further he can see. But I've never read anything else like this. And I just found it spectacular. I found it totally riveting. Nothing else I have read this year comes close. Nothing. I mean, I always hope to read something even stronger in the second half of the year when I've read kind of a showstopper novel like this early on. But yeah, it's going to take a hell of a book to take the place of this one. So, Under the Skin, Michelle Faber. What's your most disappointing book so far this year? Now, I don't have this with me because I don't own it, but it was a novel that we read in the book club, and it was called Infomocracy by a writer named Malka Older. And it's the first book in a science fiction trilogy. I was really excited for it. It sounded great. One critic was describing it as a kind of mashup of Snow Crash and The West Wing. Now, I really like Snow Crash, and I absolutely love The West Wing, so how could it go wrong? It went wrong. It was really just a failure. I mean, there was one really dramatic scene in that novel that it made no sense. Like, no matter how many times you read the scene, and it was pages and pages, like, even just spatially what was going on in the scene, you just had no idea what was up. Writing action is like writing sex. Like, if you can't do it, don't do it. And most people can't do it, so they shouldn't do it. And she just could not write action scenes to save her life, really. It was a brilliant premise, right, set in some distant future, well, not too distant future, where kind of social media has gone really out of control, and there are no more nations, right? So there are these kind of pockets of civilization around the world, and there are these new governing bodies, these new parties that stretch globally, right? And there might be a pocket here, and there might be a pocket there. And anyway, it's just, as somebody who's really, really interested in politics and intrigue, I was really looking forward to this. And the characters were just completely one-dimensional. The action was horribly written and confusing. That was a bad one. Infomocracy. Number 4, what genre have you read most this year? That's easy. Literary fiction. Number 5, name a favorite newly discovered author. Again, Michel Faber. Discovered in the sense that this was my introduction to reading him. Number 6, name the most surprisingly good book you've read. Now, that's an interesting question. So the book I'm choosing is Disgrace by J.M. Coetzee. And when I say this was surprising, it's not because I was coming to this, with trepidation or anything like that. Quite the opposite. I was really excited to read this. It won the Booker Prize, and it's quite a good book. However, it's a good book in spite of itself in some ways. So there, and I don't feel like I'm really spoiling anything as far as that goes. But early on in the novel, there is a young woman, maybe 20, 21 years old, who gets involved with one of her college professors. And to my mind, and I think to Coetzee's mind, and I think to the main character's mind, right, the college professor. So the college professor character rapes this girl. I read it as rape. And what troubled me most about Coetzee's handling of that part of the story is that he never gives that girl a voice in the book at all. He even has the opportunity to do so late in the novel for her to elaborate on what happened and how it affected her, etc., etc. And he not only doesn't give her a voice, but he never really elaborates on it as a crime. And the main character never really feels like he's in the wrong. It seems to be regarded more as a faux pas on his part or something like this by the college committee, and so I was really pretty troubled by that, actually. And I was also disappointed, I suppose, in how indelicately Coetzee kind of shoehorned in his ideas about vegetarianism and animal rights and such. Like, it didn't feel organic to the story at all. It felt like Coetzee was making a political point in the novel. And it could have been done in a much more nuanced way. And so those were the big things I didn't like about this book. However, the book, apart from those, is so good. It's so well written that I still ended up giving it 4 stars. I think I gave it 4 stars. So, question 7. Name your favorite and most anticipated 2018 releases. So, I'm kind of the opposite of Steve Donahue. Steve Donahue reads almost exclusively new releases. I almost never read a book in the year of its publication. And I haven't this year. Now, the two books I'm most excited that are coming out in 2018 and have already come out, actually, and I've already talked about them in videos, but that's these two. Peter Carey's new one and Tim Winton's new one. This is the Shepherd's Hut library copy. I'm just dying to read both of these, actually, and I will probably get to at least one of them before the year is over. Question 8. What's your next big reading priority? So that would be getting to Career of Evil by Robert Galbraith, better known as J.K. Rowling, sometime very soon. Because my wife and I have started watching the CB Strike TV series on Cinemax, and it's pretty wonderful. And I've read the first 2 books in the series, and we have finished the first 3 episodes of the series that dealt with the Cuckoo's Calling. Now we're into the Silkworm portion of the series, and then there's going to be Career of Evil. And I don't want to watch the show until I've read the book, and the show is coming up soon, so I'm going to have to read the book as soon as I can, which is going to be difficult because I'm reading 1984 right now, and I have to read that James Baldwin novel, and I have less time to do that than I thought I did, which I realized this morning. And I also have to reread The Grapes of Wrath by the end of July for my book club. So yeah, it's gonna be tricky. Plus, Glow season 2 of Glow premieres tomorrow night, and so there's a binge watching of that in my near future too. So that'll be like 9 or 10 hours that it's going to be devoted to women's wrestling. Number 9. What has been your bookish highlight? That's easy. My bookish highlight of the year has been getting to know many of you watching this video right now. In fact, getting to know Jasmine and Robert and Mark Nash and Caleb now. Getting to know these people has been Madison, right? Reading Wayfarer. Madison's absolutely fabulous. Like it's not just like we're friends through some social media platform. These people have come to feel extraordinarily important to me. I want to be connected to them, not just through BookTube, but through Goodreads and by email and our cell phone numbers and stuff. Just because if something were to happen to them, right? Like I would want to know. If something were to happen to me, I would want them to know. And I feel like it has become about much more than books with some of these people, and I feel like I'm really getting to know them, their personalities and their senses of humor and what's important to them, and that's what friendship is about. Not necessarily social media, but friendship. So that's been, it's been a real pleasure, and it's been a real surprise. I don't think I was anticipating that at all when I kind of jumped into this pool. But that's been the highlight. So thank you guys. And then number 10, who do you tag? So I'm not going to tag anybody because I realize a lot of you have already done the mid-year freakout tag, and to do both of those tags would feel redundant. And so basically what I would say is, if you're watching this tag and you haven't done a mid-year tag yet, and you like the sound of these questions, I would say plump for it. I would say go with this one. Let this be a minor key freak out. I mean, I really enjoyed it. So anyhow, I will try to do one more video before my trip. I'm not sure if that's going to happen yet or not. There are a lot of videos I want to do. Donald Hall died this week, and I'd really love to do a tribute video about Donald Hall, so we'll see if that happens. I will see some of you in person very, very soon. I can't wait. And the rest of you, I'll see you in the next video, and in your next videos as well. So until then, adios.